Hello to everybody. Today we have a very important and distinguished speaker at our webinar, Istanbul Aydın University Blockchain Academy. We are very proud to have him. He is Professor Antonio Rollo. He is from Accademia di Belle Arti di Bari. So we met with the professor at the Metaverse conference in Slovenia, and he didn't even regret 1 second when I invite him to join our webinar, Istanbul Aydın University Blockchain Academy webinar, to share his thoughts and knowledge with us. And he decided to talk to you and I would say us today about, at the age of Metaverse, paradigm shifts on computer art and computer science. So the floor is yours. I'm thanking you, Antonio, to have you here today. And we are very, very keen and very, very happy to listen to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Erol. And it was a very beautiful moment, the conference in Bled, because it was to me the opportunity to meet people that are thinking and working on the paradigm we are living in today. And so we are the actor of this world that has many problems, but we always prove it that we can find some solution. For instance, now I am showing myself at the age of Metaverse. So I go here, this is me. Or actually, it's the digital representation transmitted through the internet of me. Now, this digitalized face become a source to make a mask. A beautiful mask. There can be millions of these masks. This one, I used it during the pandemic to support math class of my kids that started the primary school, and we saw all the difficulty to reimagine the education in the, it's not just Metaverse, it's a multiverse, it's the verse, it's the place to understand first the environment, playing like they do every single day. Our memories comes from lands, nature, cities. Today, imagination comes from other digitized dreams that becomes new place. And I'm sure that my kids traveled more inside the digital world than in the physical one. They get sweat. And so our body is one of the problems that we are looking for solution. And art help us on that. So I start with a reference of a previous talk in which Martin Petrich introduced me with this conceptual work of art, in which starting to have a conversation with people, also in my mind started to comes some idea. He said, now the new paradigm is based on a new technology that is blockchain. We got smart contract, we got NFTs, and we got also Metaverse and Web3. We are going from the sharing of information where I were living in to the sharing of value. So I did this joke. I decided to mint a transparent 1 by 1 pixel with the dream that transparency that help us as web designer to put in the right place something in a page can become the one of the line that will help us to better understand this new digital world. So let's go to my research and my feeling at the age of Metaverse. This talk will go through 3 main moments: the birth of computer, the World Wide Web, and pandemia. 2 of them I experienced by myself. Of course, the birth of computer is something that goes with my passion on the research of the origin of things. So let's go back to the 90s when the World Wide Web was just, or was only an idea by Tim Berners-Lee and not yet something revolutionary for society and for people and minds. At the time I got a computer, I was studying computer science in Torino, and at the college I met a friend that he was studying at the Accademia of Fine Art in Torino, Davide Bramante, and together we start a group of research on this hybridization that we started to see between art and science. And so with my computer, a 386, with a time of render of each frame of about 30 minutes, and with a way of producing video that could be sent to the festival, that was stop motion, frame by frame. It was in the machine, the editing. So we close the lights, we put in front of the monitor, and we click down. Then we go back to some friend in the national television to do the editing. On the other side, there are some rendering. Actually, I think we were able to do about 1 million of pixels. And so, looking back at that picture, I already saw what is going on today. Because in that moment, the ability to create world, to create something that goes in the space. Oh, it was an amazing experience. You have nothing, and you can create a universe. This is the feeling that is going on now through the new generation, through all the blowing and flourishing, three-dimensional, immersive experience that can react to the presence of a human body. At the time, it was just a rendering, of course. Then we can move a little bit. But when arrived the World Wide Web, when I was able to connect to a server, the ability to publish, actually easily, because the HTML, the markup language, gave us the ability to have a stage. For each one of us, it was enough a server. And in the moment I realized that, I did something that times tell us was done again. It was 96, and I decided with some friend, as soon as I learned how to program the World Wide Web, to do this piece of art. It was a cemetery, inspired by our Dante Divina Commedia. And so I also got a list of people that joined the project. And that was the profile page. It was too early to become a social network. But that page, with very raw HTML, is exactly the stage we are living in today with the new technology. Many things have come yet. So now start the research, because in the same moment I found this article on Scientific American, in which introduced me the concept of paradigm shift into technology. And I started to see the approach that today probably is a little bit more accelerated, but anyhow, the 10 years are a good range to see the big revolution that the progress of digital computation brought to us. So starting from that article, I started to do a research that goes to the electronic roots, even before the 60s. And in the moment I started to look at the electronic roots, I had to go even back in the past to the mechanical seeds. We remember the early computer done by gears of Charles Babbage. We remember also Ada Lovelace that started to program that clock machine. But we have to go even back to the numerical flower and see this line that goes from the moment in which someone wrote about the zero. But zero not like nothing. Zero as an amplifier. Zero will become the vacuum tube again, the emptiness that is an amplifier. And so through this research, I come out with my book on 2015 that become the first stage to start to think on having a school in the academy that reflect on the hybridization of art and science. So this is my way of thinking. This is I share with you this metaphor that comes in my mind. Okay, let's use the metaphor of the tree, because it's working well. Electronic roots, mechanical seed, numerical flower. And if we go up to the birth of computing, I started to see in the moment in which all the things started to work together under the pressure of the war, of course. But this is a proto-metaverse. These are human body interacting in the machine. This is the moment in which information lose the uncertainty because become a measure, exactly like word energy. And so from that moment, information is the measure for everything. 0, 1 become the foundation for a new emptiness that need to be amplified. Cybernetics, the ability of machine to learn by our life. The idea of memex, the von Neumann architecture. We just need a brain, an hand, a pencil, and a piece of paper, said Alan Turing, to have a computer. That's what does. Calculation. That was a beautiful moment. And I can only reimagine it through the books and the research. But then the electronic roots becomes secret sprouts. This is the moment of the Cold War, in which this machine, this architecture, this building in which there are the machine, start to be a little bit well organized. And of course become also not so secret, because become scenography for movies, but also the artistic production start to be spread. So as a little tree grows in the 60s, the moment in which the electronic brain was called like that, started to have some branches. And we see, of course, the beautiful moment of the Aquarians. People like Douglas Engelbart that invented the mouse. It doesn't put a patent. It's for everybody. Will change the way we interact with machine. I'm doing it because I feel free to do it. The early metaverse of Ivan Sutherland. And so also the device that the electronic brain needs to measure the world. Then in the 70s is the moment of the software, because the operational leaves started to bring energy to the machine. And we see the moment in which we got the microchip, 71. So this is a big quantum leap from vacuum tube transistor. It's like Segovia said about guitars. We spend more times to fine-tuning the guitar than to play in the right way. So now we start to play in the right way, because sublime flowers arise. And I reference this word sublime from Vincent Mosco, that give us a clue to see the evolution of technology that always comes in a sublime mood and then become trivial. So the sublime flower changed again the space, because the computer arrived in the house, giving a new possibility. And this sublime flower were the basics for the spreading of new seeds. So things are changing again. The World Wide Web. And even the way of looking at the evolution need a new metaphor. The tree is not enough. And the new metaphor is the rhizome. The roots talk together and give birth to an ecosystem of new plants. I got the access to internet in 96 through Mickey Mouse. It was right there. It was for free. So in 2000, we see another evolution, because the computer is not anymore at home. It can work with us. And this, of course, created the basis of a new discussion, of a new way of living the cities, the space, and the way we interact. Then you see that picture comes from an artificial intelligence, Dolly, because I had no idea how to have the ubiquitous new sprout. I put these 3 words inside the artificial intelligence and comes out with that images. But in the meanwhile, we see that it's not anymore a brain with branches, but with the touch screen, with the embedded camera, and with the tablet, we created a personal device, not for us, but for kids. Because it's so profound, the power of the device that can emit light that we don't think too much in our daily life. And so for many families, it's easier to give a tablet, and also for me, see my kids spending long time in the digital world. So this is going on, and the new generation have a kind of background and memories in the digital world that it looks like psychedelia, what we are facing in the near future. But it's not yet dead, because now, of course, thanks to the miniaturization of technology, that is something that was already seen in the 60s. Now we have new peripheral branch. We are on a new Aquarian age, in which all that system start to go in the body. And we can see the eyes, ears, mouth, and part of the body. That of course, if we are without legs, it looks like a typographic font cutted. So it's still an early stage. And here, I would like to introduce this word as a reflection that comes from the work of a close friend of mine that passed away a few years ago, Professor Luigi Santoro from the University of Lecce, that at the end of the 60s, he started to think to a new way to manage the dramaturgy of theater. So from the classic one to a new way in which they started to see the arrival of television. They changed the economy of the family, exactly like tablet changed the economy of the family. And so we have the responsibility to think to find a solution. And one of the solutions was to share stories with the people. And so there is not only the actor and the spectator. There is this new figure, the spectator, that of course was part of the discussion of new media technology, because interaction, involvement. So let's go and see now what was going on in computer art. So we have to go even back to the invention of writing, thanks to Regis Debray, that introduced logosphere, graphosphere, and videosphere as main revolution. We all accepted that. Writing, the Gutenberg system for typography, and of course, television. Now, of course, we need also to think to the cybersphere where we are living in. And from the point of view of art, I suggest an article in that book, Learning Mind, Experience into Art, from the philosopher Arthur Danto, that introduced the idea of frontiers and creativity. And they said until the Impressionism, the Industrial Revolution, art has only one frontier, nature. Then the frontier becomes many, and so we arrive at the age of deism, abstractism, surrealism, cubism, many frontiers that can be recognized through a theory that aggregate people that think together about that new way of doing art. Then, in the 60s, of course, the frontiers are anywhere, as we see in contemporary art today. So thanks to that, I started to look to the birth of computer art. That, of course, the newborn computer fecundate art with the cybernetics. This is Ben Lapowski, that after Second World War, he was an engineer using the oscilloscope. He decided to take a photograph by the combination of the signal. And he started this surrealism, electronic surrealism. But as we see, things start to go very fast because we start to see artists in residence in the computer, like Van der Beek, Ken Knowlton, experimenting with this multi-million-dollar machine, of course. Was not easy to use at the time of computer. But then the masterpiece with computer interacted with industry and market sphere, but also with a more global movement that is the emancipation of women. And so computer art is for sure one of the places where we see lots of artists, both men and women, and that's beautiful. So in the 80s, in the moment of the Sublime Flower, we see that the old industry, the old market, the old science, the old art collapse to give birth to new things like schools, agencies, $1 million agencies. Just think about the visual effects on the movies. Artists. And of course, what today is going on so well, dear Erol? Festival. The need to meet with the proximity of body. So in that research, I start to see other proto-metaverse, like Legible City of Jeffrey Shaw, in which with a bicycle, you go through the typographic representation of the map of the city in which is installed the piece of art. Or the video place, in which we started to see what can be done as infographics in the moment the body is in the machine. Video place, Myron Kruger introduced artificial reality. In the 90s, the World Wide Web, of course, as we said, changed again the way of looking at reality. Here we see osmosis. That is a perfect word for metaverse. It's exactly what you need. And this natural phenomena I really see with the combination of youth mind, emitting light device, and interactive three-dimensional world that be controlled in a responsive way. Here we see again the body. This is Paul Sermon. In 92, he was using the satellite, not even the web yet, to put together distant body through technology. So this is the moment of the new economy. This is the moment of the unexpected, the black swan. And Wolfgang Stele, he was unaware of the fact that he will become famous because he was just thinking on one of the way of thinking locality on the moment of the World Wide Web. So just put three different cameras on three different places around the world. And one of that camera was right in front of the Twin Tower. And these images were recorded on the server instantaneously and started 2 days later to go faster than television. That was the moment in which television and corporation get the awareness that the World Wide Web is the new stage, exactly like us 10 years before. With the new economy, contract, exchange, patents, object have a new digital aura. Object become algorithms, $1 billion value on the market. Contract, thanks to the blockchain, a new crypto generation, comes smart contract that is thinking to help community to get value of the way of living in this digital and real world. So at that time, I was involved with a legendary website, hell.com, because Mr. Kenneth Aronson in 95, he bought that domain. And he saw that many people every day were knocking at the door. Because hell.com is a high energy word. It's like sex.com is a high value. And in 2003, he asked me and my friend, 8081, we already did an island on the web at the time. That's why we met Kenneth Aros and the project, hell.com. And he said, now you have a flux of people, almost 2,000 people a day, and a huge guest list waiting for something to happen. What you will do? And so I found this slide from that time, and this is the first time that I showed it, thinking in a public speech, because it brought to me digital life is what we are looking for today. And between me and this digital life, of course, there is an operative system. I already found a word like multiverse. That is a gate process, what we are looking for. What is the gate process for the metaverse? I will look like that, or I will look the billion of possibility that I can do easily. And then there is the universe, but it's like the universe now is, any metaverse is a universe. because are completely disconnected. There is no idea between Roblox to Fortnite or Zuckerberg Metaverse or the European Commission Metaverse, you know, or the one we met a few days ago at the MetaCop Pavilion. You know, each one has, but where is the gate? Every time I have to redo a new profile. And then there is the screen world, that dream world that we see creating the chat process. At the time, it was just a text file that generated, really generated a dramaturgy of people. And if you create the condition to let people act with much freedom as possible, it will be successful. This is why Minecraft is successful, because it's based on fractals. There is no end. It's a real universe. It's not generated by a pre-constructed environment. It can go forever. It's like a Mandelbrot fractal and this dream to measure the perimeter of a cloud. So let's go back, because time is running fast, to our time, in which I introduces this word as a concept word that I share with my students, with my friend. Like Martin is acting as an antibody, is using technology for the good of society. Charify art, the using on NFT to plant trees. So we are in a moment in which new market, new industry are right there to be again re-engineered with blockchain idea of decentralization, of more power to the community, to the people that can share and leverage an idea that can be both from science, from art, from the economy, or from whatever. The word antibody comes from this book, At the Age of Art, that gives also the spirit for this talk from Jolene Blais and John Ippolito from 2006. And I also suggest this book, The Meta Interface, the Art of Platform, Cities, and Cloud, because now the environment is enlarged. And computer art, science, the beginnings, was a very beautiful zero emptiness that create an amazing spreading of research paths and branch. Now I'm very happy because in 2019, with the help of my dean, Professor Giancarlo Kelly, we founded the New Technology of Art School at the Academia of Fine Art in Bari. And this was the first class, but then the pandemic comes, and I asked them to do the most fast things, just do some GIF, the moment. Do this, as Tarkovsky would say, sculpturing in time. But now finally the school started to have some perspective also for a bachelor degree, so even the master degree. We are working with the minister, and what I show you now, I asked to my kids, sometime take a picture of what you are living in. Step back. And I also did a few theses on virtual photography, because it's something that is growing also. Because we need a map of this new world. And there are some very also emotional elements. So, just before the conference, my daughter Nina showed me this drawing. And on the other side, she said, let's write a thought in this drawing. And I wrote, the metaverse of the screen and the isolation of Munari. Just like that, playing as a father and son. And that brought me to Namjoon Pike, TV Buddha, and Bruno Munari, isolation. And this is what I say to my kids and to my students. Okay, if television is watching us, if technology is watching us, just turn it out and start to see how it's done, and program the technology to not be programmed. Thank you, Erol.
Thank you very much, Antonio. It is really, really very enthusiastic, I would say, virtual travel of ideas. And really, it was very, very good for us to listen to your experiences and ideas. I'm very thankful to have today you here at Istanbul Aydın University Blockchain Academy Talks webinar. We are very proud to have you, and we hope we will keep our relation and friendship for continuous new things. And I think as we are both at the World Metaverse Council founders, so we will approach new things with our other friends for the future uses. And I really very happy to have you today. And I think the same is for the participants. And I wish to you, your family, and all participants a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
The same from the south of Italy. And actually, today is an holiday in Italy. It's the beginning of the preparing for Christmas. And I hope that the lights continue to shine in the brain of new generation, exactly like now shine in your eyes, because it's very beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All the best. Thank you.